Hey, Sunday morning. What do we got? 10:20, March 27th, 2022. We got a full house in here, Wang. All right. I think we are on episode 11 of somewhere like that. It keeps getting longer because Dr. James Chu keeps bringing me phenomenal guests. So we have we have a 4-round table right now. So it's going to be an awesome talk. So Dr. James Chu, please do the introductions.
Well, all right. So we have a special guest here today, all the way from Houston, Texas, via way of Brazil. What is your name, sir?
My name is Vinicious Magalhães. Good luck trying to say the last name. But
it's going to be a long show.
Only people who speak Portuguese can say. And I'm known on the martial arts circles as Draculino. It means little Dracula. So.
Little Dracula. Oh, that's awesome. And how's he related to you, Sam?
And we got Sam. He's our third-time guy. Jiu-Jitsu Jesus in the house. JJ's in the house.
13-time world champion, Samuel Braga.
Yeah.
Third time on the podcast.
Yeah, now we got half the Woodgym over at his place right now. All the good athletes. Griff sitting in with us. And Ben, thank you for showing up on Sunday. Thank you, everybody, for coming and giving us this time. It's awesome.
So how's he related to you, Sam?
Yeah.
So Draculino is like, beyond that fact that of my instructor, he's been a big role model in my life, as in many areas in my life, he has a huge impact. And I believe that sometimes, we have a relationship stronger than I would have with any other my other friends, because he pushed me to be stronger on the mat, and then impacting my personal life as well, to be more decisive in everything that I do. And sometimes we're so busy with so many things going on, and I never was able to tell him how much I'm thankful for all his good impact in my life.
Thankful for you too, champ. Proud of you.
So he is your coach?
Yes.
Okay. And how long have you guys known each other?
Probably a little bit over 22 years.
And how old were you when you started with him?
I was probably like close to 18, I think, with him. And man, it's been a great journey.
Draculino, you've you started in Rio.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's my hometown.
That's your hometown. Okay. And but you're a jiu-jitsu competitor.
Yeah.
At one point in time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so tell us about how this all started. We want to know a lot about you, your journey. This is maybe the first time you've been on a podcast where it's pretty much a general audience rather than a very specific.
Very specific, yeah.
So, yeah, right. So a lot of the people that may be listening may know nothing about jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. So please keep that in mind. But you are from Rio.
Yes.
And how did this all start for you?
Believe it or not, when I started martial arts, I was around 5 or 6. I started with judo. Judo in Brazil for kids, as you know, was like huge. Like every parent would put eventually the kids to train judo, more so the boys back in the day. Now it changed. So I trained judo for some years till I got my yellow belt. And then I got another passion in sports. I mean, I always practiced sports like soccer, a lot of like indoor soccer. And I played a little bit of volleyball and a lot of things. But what made me change like the passion from judo to another thing was surfing, believe it or not. So I started to surf because I moved to a place in Rio. There was like beach front, like right in front of the beach. In Barra da Tijuca. That's why they call the academy Gracie Barra, because that's the name of the neighborhood. And I moved there. And when I was like around 11, I started to surf, and surfing like took over, like I competed in surfing. And I thought about the surfing. I literally fell in love. I still love it. I do surf trips still today with some of my friends all over the world to surf. But through surfing, Jiu-Jitsu came into my life, believe it or not. It wasn't because of judo. It wasn't because of that. It was because of surfing, 100%. Because surfing in the spot that I used to surf in Rio called Quebra-Mar, with very good waves, with like a jetty, and there's a pier now there, and there's some good laughs there. very heavy locals, like locals only kind of place. I was one of the locals. I am one of the locals. And there I got to know the Gracie family, surfing there, like Hansel Gracie, Ralph Gracie, Hyan, God bless his soul. He passed away in 2007. And they're all jiu-jitsu guys. I mean, they're from the Gracie family, And then like a little bit after, the first Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Academy in Baja was opened by our master Carlos Gracie Jr. So long story short, I started to train.
What year was this?
This was 1985, maybe end of 1984. I was probably 13 to 14. That was around that time. And what attracted me to jiu-jitsu wasn't just because all my friends were doing it. It's because I was really impressed on the many beach fights that we had back in the day. That Hansel, for example. Hansel was a really skinny guy.
Tell us who Hansel Gracie is. Who is that guy?
Hansel Gracie is probably nowadays one of the most well-known jiu-jitsu practitioners in the world. He's the son of Master Hobson Gracie. And always a very pivotal figure in regards to never back down, compete in any rules, doesn't make excuses, doesn't choose opponents. So since he was really young, he was a really, really tough and brave guy. Very skinny guy. You look at him, you look like, man. And on the beach fights, he was the king of the beach. I was like, how come? I was small too, but how come this guy, small guy. I remember one time he choked out a big, muscular guy that started to offer drugs to the little girls of the beach back in the day. Man, he beat that guy up, choked him out, and the guy was sleeping. And I was like, man, how come, And I decided to train, because of my judo background. I was like, man, I'll be okay, I did judo in a, decent level. Boy, I was wrong. My first day, I got paired up with a girl. I never forgot her name. She disappeared. I don't see her for 30, almost 40, 35 years. But her name is Enriqueta. I never forget that. And she killed me. she killed me on a sparring session. Killed me. Literally killed me. And back in the day, it was this pride, you cannot lose to a woman, that kind of thing, which is, not the case nowadays. You have a lot of great women that can beat a lot of great men in jiu-jitsu. But I was I literally was almost in tears. I just didn't tear up because it was a lot of people.
There's just shock, right?
I was like, man, that's I suck. But instead of me get discouraged and get the heck out, I said, man, I have to learn this. Hansel, skinny guy, beat the muscular guy. And then this girl kicks my butt. So, there's something out there. So, and then I started to train. And then since from a very, very young phase, I knew there would be something that would be part of my life forever.
You just knew it at the time.
I knew it.
It was in you.
I knew it. But I didn't know exactly how. Nowadays, jiu-jitsu is literally my whole life. Even my family came because of jiu-jitsu. Because I met them through jiu-jitsu circles. You know what I mean? My wife. But I always knew, and then everything started. Of course, I started like everybody. I started as a practitioner, then a competitor, then a high-level competitor, then I got my black belt, then I started to teach full-time, and here I am today.
So to put it timeline perspective, you're talking about 84, 85. UFC didn't start in America until the early 90s.
Yes.
So this was before the first UFC, before anybody knew outside of the walls of Brazil that this was a special type of world.
100%.
Yeah. So I had heard in a previous podcast of yours, you had talked about the surf culture being influential in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
That's something I never really knew about.
Oh, yeah.
And we had talked a little bit about the origins of jiu-jitsu, just saying, hey, there was these Japanese guys came over. But what was missing was the surf culture. I didn't. That's not something that I never knew. So please explain, why is surfing so influential in that world? Was it because of all the fights? What is it, the culture of surfing? How did that influence jiu-jitsu?
I'll tell you exactly what happened. Okay, that's why surfing and jiu-jitsu got like connected. There's a place that people surf in Rio called Arpoador, which is like good waves too. There's like a rock and then good waves, and that's a crowd. That is the most crowded place in Rio. Like there's a lot of people. And then one time, Royler Gracie, I think it was Royler Gracie, with whom I competed several times, was one of my biggest.
Royler is
rival.
related to Hoist, correct?
Royler is an older brother of Hoist. Yes. So Royler was surfing there, and then he got in a little problem in the water. Then some people kind of, jumped on him. When he left the beach, when he went outside, some people jumped on him. They broke his board, and then he left. And then when he left, he went to the Gracie Academy in Copacabana that was closed. The Grandmaster Halls Gracie that passed away, like in 1981, I believe. So they went there. It's like, man, these guys beat me up. They jumped on me. They broke my board. So there was like a good crew there. So they got their little Volkswagen cars, some riding a bicycle, and they got there. And they got there. The guys were still there. And according to the legend, I mean, I wasn't there, but they were kind of celebrating. Man, that was a beating. Like they say, it was kind of like one of the old kung fu movies. They're like they got in a place and everybody's passed out. And then after that, people got shocked and word spread and all that. And then the Gracies went there to surf again. And when they went there, the guys were super polite with them. Like, oh, no, man, make yourself at home. It's your house. Before it was like, get out of here. You know what I mean? And then like, because of like some of the Gracies are surfing, and some of those surfers, actually some of them that got beat up, wanted to learn jiu-jitsu too for obvious reasons, everybody got connected. So the cultures kind of merged a little bit, surfing was always more like a relaxed, like more laid back environment, more like, you should always have fun, that kind of thing. And jiu-jitsu, Gracie jiu-jitsu actually wasn't like very strict, but it was a little more martial. And then like when they combine that, even today, our style, like it's more relaxed, we joke sometimes in the middle of a class, we make it fun, we make it fun. We're more relaxed. And I think that it was because of that, the merging of surfing.
Really? Right.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So that
and we gave them discipline.
So, okay.
So it was like a good fit because they were sometimes too much, didn't want to train or didn't want to just having fun. So no, man, you got to grind. If you want to be good, you have to, you have to go surfing even when you don't feel like it. You got to go, you got to run. You got to, that kind of thing,
Yeah. So that's interesting. Jess, you never would have put that together, huh?
No, surfing with, that's even cooler.
Yeah.
I'm just listening.
It's
and I'm a product of that, like I just said. I started jiu-jitsu because of surfing. Because if I didn't surf, I wouldn't probably not hang out and be neighbors with the Gracie family.
That's great.
So.
There are a lot of Gracies, right?
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of them. And then you decided to start working with the Gracie Baja crew, I guess, right? Is that
Yes,
how
sir.
it started?
Yeah. That's it.
And then how did the competitive juices catch on? When did you decide, hey, I want to be a world-class competitor?
Since also very early time, you have to take in consideration that jiu-jitsu competitions were not even close that what it is now. I mean, nowadays you have sometimes a weekend in the same federation, the IBJJF, which is the biggest federation. With the same federation, you have 5 different events. You have one event in Poland, you have one event in Japan, and you have 2 in Brazil and 1 in America. That happened before
Wow.
with the same federation. That was like completely unimaginable back in our days. So that would be if maybe one competition every 2 months, you know, and like very, very simple and modest. You know what I mean? Like there was, first of all, there was no internet. There was no, we barely have phones in our houses. When you change houses, it took in Rio 6 months for you to have a line in a new house.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
So, I mean, we have to talk to people on the phone, on the public phone. You know, that was normal for us. So, we had no idea sometimes. It was like just people talking, oh, there will be a tournament in this place. Sometimes it wasn't even true. And, you know, and then like sometimes it showed up, there was nothing.
Wow.
It happened before.
Wow.
Yeah, and then sometimes when they did have, when we knew for sure that we went there, we pay a registration fee right there. They put the names in there. They make it like everything right there. But the funny thing is that there was always, like even though it was modest, it was always very fierce competition. Because our Gracie Barra, our gym, was always the biggest rival of the biggest jiu-jitsu team in the 80s and early 90s, which were Carson Gracie.
Mm.
So Carson Gracie was the one that was dominating everything, absolutely everything on the 80s and beginning of 90s. And their only rivals that could come a little close, not even very close, was us. You know, so they trained hard like crazy, and we trained hard like crazy because most likely, like on the finals, it'll be us against them.
Mm.
It happened like 1,000 times. And there was always really fierce competition for me because of my weight class. I was rooster weight, like he was before, or I was light featherweight, which is the two lightest divisions in jiu-jitsu. So there was always a lot of kids, a lot of guys. So I always had really fierce competition with them. And that pushed me up, you know, and you know, thank God, like all the way until my black belt, I competed against countless guys from Carson, and I never lost one match.
Really?
Yes, I lost my match against a Carson guy in the black belt, Parrupinha, Marcos Parrupinha. He's like one of the most famous coaches now for MMA. He's in the UFC every single weekend. I just saw here on Instagram he was there yesterday. So he beat me once, but the same year, 6 months later, I beat him.
Mm.
You know, so he was the only Carson guy that ever beat me in competition. But because of this rivalry, I had to push myself more and more and more. We had like something in the past that is not necessarily good or needed. That we had like a lot of pride, and like it was kind of like dishonorable for us to lose to them. Because our masters were kind of like, you better win this. Not against these guys. You know, and we're fired up. Some people broke during the way. A lot of people broke, but some people couldn't take that pressure. Well, I didn't break, thank God. But a lot of people broke, and I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's the way it was.
Draculino, that's one really interesting thing. I would like to know a little bit about that aspect of push and pressure. I mean, because it's totally different from nowadays. And
Yeah.
how would you be like? How would be like the pressure like during the training? That's one thing that I'd like to know. Like
You felt it, right?
I felt before, but like I seen there's always levels, and I would like you to actually
sure.
describe a little bit, because a lot of times that when I explain the guys the level of pressure you have during the training,
Yeah.
and how fierce or training was in an everyday basis, and I tell the guys all the time about not only the fierce competition you have during the training,
Yeah.
and the push.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit about so people can have actually picture that in their heads?
I mean, I think that, you know, we're surrounded by sports specialists here. So I think there's a couple of things that are common to whatever sport, I believe, you know. First is that every athlete is different. I mean, I train like literally thousands of people in jiu-jitsu, submission grappling, mixed martial arts, even Vale Tudo, which is like the whole board. And some people, I'm going to give his example, okay? He is naturally aggressive. That's his nature.
Yes.
You know that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know that. He's naturally aggressive, you know? And sometimes we need to learn the science of using this in a good way. And you need to know the limit when this aggressiveness past the point, and then the guy gets blind. And then he sucks. Because like he's in pure emotion, he's not even realizing what he's doing. You know, so with him, I push him really hard. I didn't need to push like really hard on like don't quit, because he was never a quitter, you know. But most of the time I have to kind of like, hey, enough, remember?
Yeah, many times.
Enough. So like,
It's
enough.
too much.
Less.
Too much. Yeah.
Enough. You know, oh no, but I want to go one more. No, you just come back tomorrow. Leave.
Richie.
You know, you're doing too much. You're like, you're going to pass the point. Out. Then he was all mad that he left. You know, that happened a bunch of times.
Many times.
Many times. Yeah. And there's the other guy that you almost have to slap his face, because the guy just like passive and you know, and lazy. If you know, kind of lazy, you have to kind of like push him to training. And a lot of guys like that were really talented. So he killed me to see that. You know what I mean? Like, and then you have to treat these guys a little different, like when you coach them, you know? So what I did, I really pushed everybody, but I pushed everybody kind of like according to their personalities. You know what I mean? And it worked.
Worked really well, yeah.
It worked because, I mean, like from that gym that he was part of, like it's this month, I mean, this year, it's going to be in October, 27 years of that school, that I opened that school.
This is the one in your hometown?
Yes,
Yeah,
in his hometown. Yeah, 27 years, GBBH. And it was needed because we wanted to build something to make a legacy, and we wanted to build something to be top level competition in the whole world. So I know I needed to push them hard, you know. Some things that I did in the past, especially here in America, I mean, if I did it, I would be in trouble. Like, I didn't do any criminal, come on, but I mean, I like cursed a lot, and I kind of like went in their faces. Some of the guys got slapped in the face because they talked back, you know. And this was needed for that time, because if we didn't do it, it would be probably someplace, but we wouldn't be in the place that we are right now. We are recognized, thank God, right? Yeah. All over the world. And people say like, oh, this guy comes from GBBA. Oh, maybe they don't even know who you are, but oh, this guy's tough. You know, like, it's only tough people that come from that place. You know what I mean?
What is GBBH?
Gracie Barra Belo Horizonte. Belo Horizonte is his hometown, and it's the third biggest town in Brazil. That's when I moved from Rio in 1995 to there to teach full-time.
Was that your first full-time teaching gig?
Yes.
When you decided to do that, to teach, where were you in your career as a competitor?
I was like, in all belts, I was always like winning everything, you know, like to the brown belt. I was a national champion in the brown belt, and I won, I think 2 or 3 like of Rio de Janeiro state championships, and some super fights. I did a very, very important super fight when Renzo Gracie fought Walid Ismail back in the day. I was like the fight before that. It was a preliminary, you know, and I was a brown belt. And I was like competing really high level. But at the end of my brown belt, it was the last year of my law school. And the last year of law school in Brazil, I believe here is kind of the same. Then you have to go to school, you have to study, you have to do your tests, you have to do everything, but you have to do like internships in either, you know, the DA, or you have to do an internship with a judge, or you have to do an internship with the public, some kind of government job. You have to intern there to get your hours and whatever. So I used to leave my house around 6 a.m. I would go to school all the way through 12. At 1 o'clock, I had to be at the job. So sometimes I literally in suit and ties, So I need to kind of like run around and grab a sandwich and eat the sandwich at the Subway. I still remember that. Going to the job, and and then I would work until like 5:36, and then I had to train and teach because I taught 2 times a week.
Wow.
So I was leaving my house 6 a.m. and like I was coming back like around 10:30, 11 every single day, like Monday through Friday. You know, so obviously I couldn't train as much as I wanted.
Yeah.
So these 2 years were years that I never stopped, but I decreased my training. On Saturdays, I would push harder. I think that's what saved me, actually, the Saturdays, because the Saturday would be like a little longer. But that was the only time that I kind of like did not like kind of full-time competitor kind of thing. You know what I mean? Then I graduated. I actually got my black belt, and I graduated in law after I got my black belt. So a couple months after, actually.
Oh, so that was a big year then.
Yeah.
So then you are tapped to start the school, GBBH.
Mm-hmm.
And what was your goal at that point? It wasn't just to open up a school. It was, you must have had a much higher goal at that point.
Yeah. I had a goal. My goal was first of all, I decided to be a teacher full-time. I still competed, as you know, he saw me competing before. I competed like quite a lot as a black belt. And my last official competition was an MMA fight in 2010. That was my last one. The one I was talking about.
Yeah, your neck, yeah.
And man, like, I had in mind, like, I would like to change the course of jiu-jitsu, the present course of jiu-jitsu in the state of Minas Gerais, because Belo Horizonte is the capital of Minas Gerais, which is a big state in Brazil. If you want to compare Minas Gerais in Brazil, it's kind of like Texas here. It's like big, there's some farmland, and like there's a lot of agriculture, and there's like a lot of mining and all that. So it's, if you want to compare, it's kind of that. And the jiu-jitsu there was jiu-jitsu there, but with basically almost no results in the competition scene in Brazil. I actually, as a matter of fact, I competed against a bunch of guys from Minas Gerais. And when I saw that I was paired up with them, I was like, thank God, man, at least one guy I'm going to beat up. because I mean, no offense, but their level wasn't up to ours, you know? So that was, man, I'll stop that. I'll try my best to have this guys here to be among the best, you know? And then I worked like really hard. I competed. I taught like all the classes. I was like trying to be like not one of those guys that tells you what to do, but I was doing it.
So kind of leading by example.
Leading by example, 100%. And they said like, oh, tomorrow we're going to do physical training. We're going to run the hills. And then I was the first one to be there because I was a competitor too, you know? And then like when I was on my prime, I was always the first place, you know, because I tried to push them. You know, when you get older, it's hard to be the first place. But you know, I gave them this example, and thank God a lot of people followed. A lot of people believed in it. And I remember the first major title that our guys got was in 1997. 2 of my blue belts were national champions in Brazil.
Huge.
After like 7 matches. There's a lot of blue belts. You know how blue belts.
Yeah, it used to be so stacked.
It was stacked. It was like tons of people. And they won. Like, so that's when people started to noticing us a
Just
little
kind of
bit.
believing in what
Yeah. Because before, like, a lot of people thought like me, oh, you're going to get the Minas Gerais guys? He's going to do a warm-up with this guy here. You know, kick his ass and get the next guy. And that changed there. And then, like, on the Pan American Championships in 1998, I competed and I won as a black belt. And I got 2 of my students, 1 purple belt and 1 brown belt, that won as well their divisions in the Pan Ams. It was in Hawaii, actually.
And Pan Am's is a huge tournament.
Yeah, it's a huge tournament. And so then that was it. Because back in the day, I mean, internet, there was internet, but internet basically emails And then for you to download the page was probably like 5 minutes because it was like that noise, you know, from the phone.
Those old modems.
Like, I remember you want to download the page, it was 5 minutes waiting. We would wait. And so the biggest way for us for the community to communicate was Gracie Magazine, which was a magazine that was a monthly magazine. And then after you have the Tatami magazine as well.
Yeah.
So that was the source.
Yeah, okay.
And then like, for the first time, the Minas Gerais guys were featured in Gracie magazine.
Was that like the big moment that
That
you know
was-
you were making it? When
That was a big moment.
okay.
When you are like, when you used to be, he knows that he got a little bit of that, the Gracie magazine
Yeah,
time,
it was
right?
like a big deal. If you're in the,
if
you
you're
want to
in
be
the
there.
magazine, yeah.
Yeah, if you feature there, like, okay, I made it.
Yeah, you
Oh,
made it.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And you know, like that was like our parameter. And then when you made there, you know what happens when you kind of break through. A lot of people break through and accommodate. I was always different. When you break through, you push it harder. So we made like countless champions for that school, as you know.
Well, I don't know the actual count. So tell me, please.
I don't know either. I just know one thing. What is the top competition in the world level wise? The world's right.
Right.
Since 1998, Gracie Barra BH always had a champion, at least 1 or 2 champions, sometimes 5 champions every year. So 98, you do the math until 2001.
How many of them were your direct students?
Most of them,
Really?
yeah, most of them. I mean,
Everyone.
he was like several times world champion.
Yeah.
He trained under me. Romulo Barral, Eric Vanderlei,
Valide.
Vinicious Antunes, Marcelo Rapuru, all those guys are like my students. Like I put the hands on them. Nowadays, I mean, the school's still going strong. I go there 3 times a year, but there's still like, it's still a lot of beasts there. I don't think there's a mat in anywhere in the world, training wise, that'll be tougher than this place. I'm telling you with all my heart.
So how do you plant a seed like that? I know that it was you being accountable and being ultra competitive, but what are you setting in that? What's that tone that you were setting in that room?
I think it was like honesty, passion, and actually love. Because I never thought about my work, for example, like being rich or getting paid well. It was never my goal. My goal was to do the best job that I could do, possibly. And whatever came. If Jiu-Jitsu didn't give me money, I would still do it. That's what I do, But I had honesty because I'm a very transparent guy. Everybody knows who I am. I'm not fake. I'm not hypocritical. Thank God. Honesty, passion, like my passion of teaching and transmitting knowledge to people was always huge. And love for the art. I think those 3 things caused and made all happen,
Sam, Charlie, you were an insider. He raised you. What do you think?
Well, I mean, you felt the energy of the place. So the first time I walk into the Draculino's place, I mean, he looked at me and he's like, "What's up, champ?" and he treat me like I was already part of the team. At the first time I walk into that gym, and I went there for a goal. I mean, I knew that when I walked, because I knew when I walked there, if you want to take my competition to the next level and be serious about it, I had to be part of that. Mm-hmm. So you would have this noon training there.
Infamous.
I'm
talking
the
about
training was the infamous.
noon.
Still is to
Okay.
this day.
All right.
You go there and you're gonna be pushed, and like there's no. I mean, the thing I like about the BH is like you're gonna have, for example, I don't know the numbers. Okay, I'm just giving an example. Let's say they have 200 students. Okay, 200 students. You're gonna know them and you're gonna meet them every single day. Everybody trained every single day.
Everybody trained every single
Everybody trained.
That mat was always full.
So if you have 200 students, there was no that guy that sign up and not show up.
Like
Everybody.
it is right now a lot.
Here,
Right?
here is a lot. In Brazil, you're gonna have that guy. I mean, doesn't matter. The guy's gonna be there because I mean, our mats are like 40, 50 people.
Wow.
Yeah, and small. Like, let's talk about like maybe what's like square footage wise,
I don't even
probably
know.
like I don't know, 900 square foot.
With that many people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So you'd be like training like
Every day.
every day.
every day.
Every day.
Sometimes we had like over 50 people.
Why were they so motivated? Why were people so dead set on being there every day? Because that's
Good question,
incredible.
I don't know.
I mean, I talk for myself, you know, like I don't know about the other people. I mean, I want to be the best.
Yeah.
And I know where the best were, and I know who could push me. And I went there for that. I didn't want to go there. I mean, I knew when I went there, I already had a goal
Mhm.
and I had a vision,
Mhm.
you know. And I think the majority of people there with the same goal, right, Draculino?
I mean, I don't think all of them, but even the guys who are not so committed, they got to be tough
Mm.
because there was no other way. The environment was tough,
Mm.
you know. And I mean, I have students there that don't compete and did not compete like often. They're like beasts.
Yeah.
You train with them, they're like beasts. Like some of the top level guys in jiu-jitsu nowadays, sometimes they go, when they're there, they make a visit, you know, and then they go train. And then they go against somebody guy he never saw in his life. He's going, I'm going to warm up with this guy a little bit. And then after that, it's like, who the heck is this guy, man? And then he goes to the other one he doesn't know. And then like always tough train. He goes like, oh my God, man, there's a lot of like people that are not well known at all. They're like super tough here. So yeah. And that's the well-knowns too. So, you know, it's Shark Tank still is, you know.
Chaz, what's going through your head?
He's seasoned.
Oh yeah.
He's still edgy.
Okay.
He's still what?
Still
Edgy.
Edgy,
Still
edgy.
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 So
Edgy.
you were spot on. Like he's here. Like I'm 53. I don't need to. I don't. That's how he is. Where
Mhm.
he's still. Sam is still like, I want to be the best.
Mhm. He still has it on him. Yeah.
Right. Like I want to be the best. And it's like, okay, that's great. But how many people really want to be the best? That's what I was trying to tell you with Sam. He's like, this is a great compliment. This is a Harrison Smith compliment of Harrison's I had since 8th grade, all pro safety in the league. He's awesome. He doesn't get, how can I say this? He's not coaching anybody because he doesn't get why they can't be the best either. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think that it has to frustrate Sam because that's what I was trying to say with the Cam Miller story when he came in here and was like, Sam yelled at me because I said I was tired, and Sam just got right into his ass and was like, because I'm sure that's what this environment would do.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's Cam. I know Cam very well. I know Griff very well, and Coach was completely right.
Mm-hmm.
Of you have some. I've said the same thing for all. You have some athletes you could pat and like, you got this, and other ones going, are you effing kidding me? Like we got to get better. So you have to have that. You're still getting to the same goal of champions, but we talked about that in here. And Griff brought this point up even in this Woodgym after 32 years. You don't have a lot of kids anymore going, how do I get on the wall? Like you talked about, I want to get on the wall. I want to I want it to be an honor to be on the wall. Where's that best come from? Because you could see it in his eyes, but he has warm eyes. You could tell he coaches with all types of love, a whole different love. Okay. And Sam will get there when he gets into his 50s and his 60s and
for sure
you've gone through a little bit more cut of, some hard life lessons. You're almost more sympathetic. You know what I'm saying?
More empathy.
Yeah.
Because you've been through it.
Yeah. But I love that he does, because Cam Miller needs that.
Yeah.
Because he's not getting that at home. So we talk about the coddled of, and that's why we have this series of mental toughness is, I think this table right? This four right here, because I know this four very well. We didn't have any choice but to be the best.
Yeah, but I think Draculino, I mean,
I agree 100%.
I agree 100%. I agree 100% with you. And in the time, Draculino timed everything so, his knowledge and everything, but he timed everything so perfect as well, because he got in hands like guys like me and Romulo. They could like yell and like push and I mean, the room you have there, I mean, still nowadays I miss that room.
That's amazing, man.
Because I mean, tell Draculino a little bit about it.
Yeah.
The room there.
He's a feel like you. When I went outside, I didn't know they were
He's
outside.
he's surfing the room.
No,
He's surfing the room, right?
I just think somebody warm, like he could. It's his age, maybe it's a different cut of starting at 5 years of age, and you could I walked outside and you could feel the love, the real love, and I love Sam, but you could feel Sam's edgier than
so maturity.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
right.
It's all exactly nothing like time and experience. You go through changes. You have to be smart enough to learn from your mistakes as well, because everybody does mistakes. I don't care what you say, but you can. But at the same time, like I always say, again, I'm gonna say it was needed. Some of the mistakes that I did were needed for that. The jiu-jitsu story, if you know our jiu-jitsu, Gracie jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
A lot of things that happened in the past were wrong. Wrong in a way that, for example, man, you don't walk in a martial arts gym and you look at the action and you challenge people and beat them up.
That's how they made their name.
You don't do that. That's wrong. I mean, you can't get shot, get arrested, and it's disrespectful.
Well, and they videotaped it. They
videotaped it.
Yeah.
Like back in the day. But if you see nowadays, we are where we are because of that. Because nobody cared. Like when we first started here in the US, people laughed at us. Like, you got to be hugging people. What the heck are you doing? Punch you in the face and knock you out, that kind of thing. And then and then people say, oh, really? Oh, yeah? Okay. So the Gracies go like, you do anything you want to do, I'll do my thing. And you guys know already the results, right? And this was getting like done in constant basis until a time that they saw the potential of having a fight event pitting styles. As you know, then it comes the UFC 1993. Why? That was going on in Brazil forever. But there was no internet, so nobody knew. Nobody knew nothing. Nobody knew what was going on there. But once, man, he came to the US and Royce Gracie in one night destroyed 3 guys in under 5 minutes, all bigger than him and all specialists on their thing. The people, whoa, that skinny guy on his pajamas? It's kind of like me seeing hands on the beach.
That effect.
Yes, and then people go like, man. And then number 2, second event, 4 fights in one night. Same thing. Then people, man, that thing works. And then history was made. So they were, all these things were needed, because if the Gracies didn't do that, probably wouldn't be here. Us.
Yeah, so you couldn't do that again right now, but like you said, there's
there's no way.
There's mistakes.
There's no way.
In time, maturing, the art has matured then.
Oh yeah, and I did a lot of mistakes. He witnessed some of the mistakes. I was younger. I was like edgy. I was still a competitor, and I did a lot of mistakes. But all of them, I tried to learn from them, but I'm not ashamed of them. I was never ashamed, because it was what it was. I didn't have bad intentions when I did it. That's the most important thing. I didn't have a bad heart when I did it. I did it with a good heart, even though the wrong stuff. But I'm not ashamed of that. It is who I am. Part of me, like part of my evolution as a human being. You know what I mean? So,
is there a perfect build for a jiu-jitsu champion? Like Harrison Smith, 6'2",
body
215,
wise,
right?
No, really, right?
Safety.
I mean, some help, right? Like long legs, for example, help.
I believe that like the
But-
beauty of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I mean, look at Draculino and I, you have different body types, even though height may kind of be similar or the same.
No, I'm taller than you. Stop. He always says that. You're the midget kid.
But joke aside, but like I believe the beauty of jiu-jitsu, I mean, is the ability of adapting to
True.
you can make adaptations through your own body's proportions. Okay, like for example, when I start jiu-jitsu, people are like, hey, you cannot do De La Riva because your legs are too short, or you cannot do this type of game because it does not match your attributes.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I like to do it. So I found ways to adapt the technique to the circumstance that we're in and the positions that we're in. I think that's a ability of adapting is a really beautiful thing about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So you cannot, I mean, it's hard for you to put limits or limiting your mind over, the fact of your physical abilities, I think.
I have one thing that I want to do is brag on my man, Charlie Petrone, and I'm going to ask, kind of two wonderful top level coaches a question here. Okay. So Charlie here, when we were talking about, and this, we will use Harrison as an example, but there are many, many, many other examples that we could talk about.
So Harrison's a tall guy, or just like
Prototype
bigger.
NFL safety, 6'2", 210.
Okay.
So that's like they have standards for all positions.
Okay.
So I was just thinking, like, you got Griff that you're working with. Right?
Yeah.
Is he too big? Is it too big? Too small?
Mhm.
I
Yeah, it's
I
a
don't
little
know
different in
anything.
jiu-jitsu. No, I totally get it now. In jiu-jitsu, like Samuel said, it depends. I mean, there are weight classes, for example. So, the body types maybe could be better for one certain weight class and not that great for the other one. But it doesn't matter because people adapt, like he said.
See, that's it's foreign to me. That's so foreign
That's
to me.
different.
Like Sam
No, I totally
could
understand
take
now.
Griff in, I don't know,
All right,
10
so-
seconds on the map because of what he knows.
Yes.
Yeah,
No,
so-
you're 100% right.
One thing that we're talking about Griff. Now we have a guy like Baby Joe, right? This is one of my main students, and he's an animal. But he's a guy that, like, I talked to Griff about this and talked to Charlie early on, and I told him already, and I was like, Joe, many times he's the different type of person. He's like, I'm a type of aggressive.
Mhm.
He's more like type laid back.
Mhm.
His personality, really laid back, really chill. And I have to do the same thing. I have to push him a little bit more. And he is like Griff, his body type. But Baby Joe he does my game, and he's phenomenal at it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? He goes underneath the
Mind
person.
game?
My
jiu-jitsu
game.
His
Jiu-jitsu
style,
game.
his
game.
jiu-jitsu
My
style.
style.
Like the
Sorry.
style, the technique
That I do.
style.
And he's Griffins. I mean, and he goes inverted. He does phenomenal things.
Which
He's-
is normally associated with small guys.
Yeah.
he's associated to small guys.
So would you do this, and you guys would know this? Do you see what he's bringing to the table first to the mat, and then put together his strength and weakness of style, or do you go, this is the style we're teaching, we're going to put that in you? Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. But I believe, like Samuel said, that in jiu-jitsu is funny, man. There's no magic formula. You see sometimes like a person with really short legs, and then like for jiu-jitsu standards, for example, if you have short legs, you're probably not going to be good on your guard on the bottom because you don't have like a distance management and control, for example. But you do see a lot of short leg guys with amazing guards because but his legs are not that short, but there's some people really short
like Mike
legs.
Musimesh, for example.
Like like short legs. Man, that guy's guard is phenomenal because what does he do? He compensates with hip movement and angles and all that, so it's very hard to get a magic formula. Sometimes you see like guys with really long legs. Normally, long leg, as you know, long-legged guys like to be on the bottom of the guard because they have control. It's hard to go through their legs, and they have a lot of submissions and all that. But sometimes you see really big guys that don't want to pull guard. They want to take you down. They want to be on top, and you never know.
I think like jiu-jitsu, in my experience, I mean, what I learned from Draculino, and I watch him coaching and watching sometimes it's hard for you to tailor the guy because it is so many variants, for example, variables. So you
Even
have
the
like
personality,
right?
believe it or not, even the personality,
Interesting.
counts. It
Counts.
counts on building the game.
How so?
Well, for example, being on the bottom, you're black belt, being on the bottom. It's something that everybody will have to do in jiu-jitsu, okay? But some people naturally do that without you even teaching them. Like they naturally feel safer on the bottom. A lot of times, these guys are kind of like more focused on defending and countering than beat you up. The guy who butts heads with you and try to take you down and be aggressive, sometimes this guy is a little more kind of like, I have to do this job quick. And the thing is that the combination of both are needed, because guess what? Eventually you're going to get exposed to your defense and you have to defend yourself correctly. It's kind of like a football team that, man, attacks like really well. They're like killers, like a blitzkrieg, but their defense sucks. Eventually they're going to get exposed, right? They're going to maybe win a lot of games, but eventually someone will expose them. It's kind of the same thing in jiu-jitsu. So personality-wise, that guy that likes to be on the bottom, it's very hard to change completely his nature, but you can put more aggressiveness on him and more sense of urgency. And the other guy, at the same hand, you say that, hey, slow down, work your defense, take your time. You know what I'm saying? And when you have the combination of both, like him, for example, like somebody who has really great defense, but pushes when he needs to be pushed, then you have a champion. So
Yeah, that's
pretty
really
much
good.
it. Yeah.
You thinking a lot, Charlie?
Yeah, no, I'm just taking it all in. It's kind of cool because I still look, because again, I've never done it. I don't know it.
Yeah.
So when you have like somebody like Griff that I've had for years, and how genetic freak and got all that, and then Sam could take him in 10, 15 seconds from that stature, that still just blows me away. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard for somebody who doesn't understand, right? Like, it's hard to know.
hard
I
to
think that's the beauty of the thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
You know?
everybody that I know, all the different clients I've had, and some are in North Carolina now, they talk about jiu-jitsu is not just like, I'm going to do my sport activity for the hour or whatever. It's so holistic. Does
Yeah, it's
that make
holistic.
sense?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So Charlie has a gift for, I think, probably in a similar way with you, understanding people, strengths and weaknesses, and also projecting. Oftentimes, like this person, like you said, hey champ, when Sam walks in. So let's take the example of. Let's take example of Chad, my friend. Charlie's one of his first proteges, I guess. Skinny guy, 170 pounds. Was not recruited very highly at all to play college football. All right, you got an opportunity to maybe play at Marshall. At the time, wasn't even a big school. Okay, Charlie saw him. And it's like, this guy has so much potential. He didn't even believe that, the kid, at the time.
Yeah.
And did with all his methods, got him stronger. Guy ends up being a Heisman Trophy candidate. All right, first round draft pick, quarterback. Played how many years in the NFL? 11 years in the NFL.
Wow.
Two-time comeback player of the year. Never been done
injuries.
before. A lot of injuries. So, but I mean, had an exceptional career. Same thing with a guy like Harrison Smith. Okay, so Harrison was 13 years old. Comes into the Woodgym. Charlie's like, looks at the guy, his build, sees what he does in here. He's like, you can be a first round draft pick. And fast forward, 8 years later, or I don't know how old he was when he became in the draft, first round draft pick.
Wow.
I'm gonna brag. This is all public record. $100 million later, he's got a great career.
Wow.
So
that's awesome. Yeah.
So my point with all of this is that
Because I don't like all that. So
I know. I
don't
hate
know.
it.
It's about these guys.
I know. But my point is that man can see things sometimes in people
that they don't even realize.
They don't
right?
realize. So
Yeah.
you're a coach, you've had countless champions.
Yeah.
You got this little brown fellow,
Yeah.
120 pounds, skinny.
Yeah.
Well, are they harder with Sam or opposite when you said you got to back Sam off? Because you could see it in his eyes. You know,
some of them, I have to do completely opposite. Some of them are the perfect mix. You don't need to do anything.
So was he easy?
You know?
Was Sam easy? Because
No.
I mean, he
Never easy.
no easy to develop
Oh no, to develop, yeah.
because of that best
yeah.
attitude.
Oh no! I mean, he had the mindset of a champion.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I think
So he
exactly.
Sam
Yeah.
was low key pissed at
Exactly.
because I
No.
called him edgy. But I
No,
was
but I understood that. No, I just not bad. He should be actually take this as a compliment because
No, I'm
you
not.
gotta be edgy
Well,
a little bit to be a champion
just
like at
do
the
it.
highest level. You
Yeah.
have to do it.
Right.
The thing with him that I have to work with him is like sometimes like the emotions took the better of him, which is never good. Like
Mhm.
when you especially in combat sports. Combat sports, you have to have your emotions to work in your favor, never against you. And when you get too emotional, that can be your doom. You know? And some people, like I said, have to lit the fire. Some other people have to put the fire away.
and he's put the fire away.
Oh yeah.
Because
yeah.
you could
Yes.
tell his emotions. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my question for you is that something that you were intuitive? You saw a person come in here, you're like, as
Yeah,
soon
what
as
we
they
getting at?
as soon as they walk in the door, and you're like, that person's got
Most
it.
of the times, in a very short time, I was right. But I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I was wrong.
Mm.
Sometimes I put expectations on people and they did not.
That's the love.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did not. But
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I mean, but most of the times, like I don't know, like I was blessed with that. That I really noticed. Man, there's a funny story about that. So just a small example. There's a student of mine that he still doesn't know how to ride a bicycle. He doesn't have really great coordination to do jumping jacks. He's just like those guys. He doesn't like every kid in Brazil plays soccer. He can't play soccer. That sucks. It's like horrible. And this kid, Chuchuco.
Yeah.
And then this kid joined my gym as a kid, young kid. For the first maybe 4 years, he was there twice a day, and he got beat by everybody. Sometimes a kid would show up in second class, would beat his ass. But he was there. He was there twice a day, no matter what. Long story short, he's one of my toughest guys nowadays. He was a world champion,
Oh, no kidding.
you know, and he still doesn't know how to ride a bicycle.
Still bad at
So-
soccer.
He still doesn't know how to play soccer.
But that was one of the things like,
you know, but you turned to be a world champion.
Wow.
So completely
You know.
different than Sam.
100%, because he has natural attributes.
Mhm. But what did you
He's a
see
bit-
in that since he couldn't do any of that?
Drive.
the drive, yes.
The drive. I saw a drive. God, man, like sometimes I would think, I look and I was like, and you know how I treated him. He calls me one of his fathers. During Father's Day, every year, he puts his real father, his biological father. He put his como é que fala padrasto?
Stepfather.
His stepfather and myself as
father.
his dads. That's my dad's. You know, I have 3 dads. I'm lucky. You know, I was really rough on him, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
Extreme.
no.
I was rougher on him than you. Than I did.
Was
on
both
him.
of us.
By
Was
far.
both
No,
of us.
but with
I'm just joking.
Chuchuco I was really hard because
Did you have to be?
I mean, he was like he started to be the opposite because I mean he was like almost socially oppressed. He was bullied at school. He'd sucked at jiu-jitsu. Man, like you're training 3 years to get beat up by a guy who was like second class. That's gotta be discouraging, right? And during that time was really supportive. I would take him to Rio to competitions with me. He stayed at my mom's house with us. I was like trying my best. And then when he started to get good, that's the funny thing.
You turned it around.
And that was like the collateral. He started to kind of like be a little bit of a bully,
Yeah.
a little bit of too arrogant,
Yeah.
too cocky. And I noticed that. And I'm really good on putting people in their places.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Draculino loves that.
What you do?
I when I started to notice, I would like literally go to him, look in his eyes, and put him on his place, putting the fingers on his head, and like, what the fuck you think you are? You know, you're no different than anybody. Remember when you're like a little scary kid, socially oppressed? You wanna now take advantage of these kids? Now you're a coward. You stop that crap right now. Then he would stop. And then when something else happened, he knows that a bunch of times. Something else happened a bunch of times. He had that too. People act up, they train and they kind of like push each other. Hey, what's up? And that kind of thing. It was like, oh, you too. How many times I did? You too. Out.
Yeah. Many times.
Don't want to train more. I don't give an F. Out. Right now. Whenever you behave like a real man, you come back to this place. If you come and keep giving me this crap, get the heck out of here. Go somewhere else. And then there we go.
Then come
Nobody
back.
does that anymore.
No.
It's a lost art.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, yeah, I agree with you. It's very tough nowadays. Like, you can get sued for that, actually. Nowadays, it's a crazy world. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, you have to think.
Did he get to meet Cam? Coach get to meet Cam Miller?
Professor?
Yeah,
Not yet.
professor.
Hopefully today.
Yeah.
Ken Miller?
Yeah.
Miller?
He's one of his students that
Oh,
trains
yeah.
out of
Oh,
here.
trains here with you
And he
guys?
absolutely loves it. He loves Sam, but I mean, I
didn't have
think
the
he's
chance yet.
he's more scared of Sam than me. You know, 'cause I'm soft and broken. You know,
But I got softer,
yeah.
coach. I got softer with it.
I got me like
But
I wouldn't say softer. I think I got.
you slowed down a little bit the things.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the word is maturity.
hmm
I got a little more mature. I still yell at people when they need.
hmm
Man, the other day I put the kid in his place. It was like, maybe, I don't know, 2 months ago. You know, this kid came to train. He wasn't my student. He came to train. He was from another school. And then it was a no-gi class. So he was like with an attitude, like slapping people hard and being really aggressive for the first time he was there. I just looked. I was quiet because I'm not going to also, hey, go easy, champ. They're going to think like it's a wimp gym. So I just kept quiet. I just looked. First round.
This is in Houston?
Yeah.
Okay.
First round, he did that. Second round, he went against one of my students that is naturally aggressive too. Long story short, in 30 seconds, he got on fire. And I was kind of knew what was happening. I said, hey, you two guys, stop. And then the kid that was visiting curses and yells in the middle of the gym. I said, like, get the fuck out.
You cuss back at him?
No, and he looked at me. He looked at me defying.
Yeah, yeah.
He looked at me defying.
Like
I felt his eyes. Man, like a tiger knows a tiger. That kid is a tiger. He's an asshole, but he's a tiger.
right, sure.
I look at his face. He looked at me defiant. So like, get the fuck out now, otherwise we're gonna beat the shit out of you. And he was like, I swear to God, he did like this. And he goes,
Was this recently?
2 months ago?
Yeah.
And then like he started to walk back, and his friends that were with him, they were like super apologetic. So like, man, I'm sorry, professor. I'm really sorry about all this and that. And then he left the training area. Sam knows my place. I have 2 training areas. He left the training area that we were at. And he didn't leave my gym. He was in another training area sitting and waiting.
Oh, this one went good.
That's not
Man,
I know Draculino. That was not it.
Man, I can't.
I don't know Draculino at all. That's not a good move.
I'm glad that one of my students held me, because I went, and that's wrong for myself, because I kind of like, I was
Flip the
out.
switch.
Yeah, I was out. And then like they hold it, and my guy said like, kid, get the fuck, I don't understand. No. And then the kid left.
Where is he now?
I don't know.
He's out.
Probably
A real mentor, Dad.
probably he's out there training, thinking about me. One day I'm gonna get that old man. One day I'm gonna beat him up. I don't know. You know, he may beat him up. Who knows? But I mean, at least a little piece of him I will take.
Hey,
That's what I know. I'm 50. I had like 9 orthopedic surgeries before. You know, any kind of injury that you mean injury, I had it. You know, in combat sports, right? Like even vertigo and Yep, tons. But
Do you
man,
teach
one
full
thing-
time now?
Yeah, I still teach. I don't teach as much as I thought because I have like a good staff now. I mean, and I pretty much if I don't want to go, I don't need to go because I know things will be covered. But I do go. I still go. If I'm in town, I teach like my routine is like around 3 classes a day.
Got it.
You know,
Physical ones. You're still
yeah,
rolling around?
yeah. And I train wise, when my time to train, I train around 2-3 times a week, and I do my workout twice a week. My workout is to try to maintain myself. It's nothing to, as you know, I'm not trying to, to be buffed or to
Aesthetic looking.
No,
Right.
I just want to make sure that I don't hurt my back as much. It's not working. I have to probably change my workout. I was telling you, and just to keep myself healthy. And jiu-jitsu is the same thing. I don't train jiu-jitsu nowadays to compete. I don't see myself competing. You never know. I mean, I never saw that said I was retired. Maybe there's another crazy old man. They put a lot of money and maybe come back. I don't know. But
I'll be there.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's not my priority. But my training jiu-jitsu nowadays is almost 100%. I would say like 85% mental. It's for my peace of mind. Like Samuel, he knows I'm naturally aggressive too. I always was.
we get it.
I always was since I was a kid. I'm naturally aggressive. So jiu-jitsu is the perfect therapy for me because when I train and after I train, I feel a sensation that I'm kind of like peaceful and calm. I'm like almost like in a different dimension. I feel good. I sit up after the training, man, I'm sweaty and I'm breathing hard, but I'm happy. I feel good. And we do have that we call resenha, right?
Yeah.
After we train, we talk. Like sometimes we talk like for an hour after training. You know what I mean? Like we don't have other stuff to do. Many times that happened. And I love that. This is my therapy. I also do therapy, because I think it's important. I do therapy once a week. But
What type of therapy?
it's like
Mental?
mental therapy.
Yeah.
I do mental therapy. Yeah, mental therapy. I think it's very important. I was really kind of like jiu-jitsu is my therapy. Yeah, true. But it got in a point in my life where a couple of things happened, a personal side that I needed.
And you go see somebody once a week?
I see once a week, yes, sir. Yeah, I see once a week. And now with the Zoom thing, like Skype is very easy. You can see your therapist. Actually, my therapist is from Brazil. So, we talk and all that. But man, like nowadays, it's like 100% for my mind. I feel good. I love it. I feel good. It keeps me in check because believe it or not, when I got my injuries and when I couldn't train, he knows that. My aggressive side was coming. Oh yeah.
You didn't have you fix basically.
Yeah.
So
it's come. I need to kind of like put myself in check all the time in my head. So hey, stop. I start to think, man, I still do. I think horrible things sometimes. In the aggressive side. You know what I mean? And then like I have the maturity now to say like, man, what the heck are you thinking? Crazy? Are you a murderer? Are you a like thug? And I was like, yeah, okay. Now I have this material. I didn't have it before too much,
So the mental toughness thing. Okay, we got these guys on here for mental toughness. So you talk about aggression. He comes naturally with it. Do you think you're born with the level of aggressiveness, or your therapy, you think things, some personal things happen, and you could use that as the benefit and the positive of the good on the mats and turn that into it? So your mental toughness, developed or born?
That's a great question. I think that in my case, I was born with it, but I saw also the other spectrum. I saw people that didn't have, that mental toughness, that they got the mental toughness through training, through being in the environment. That kid that I said that couldn't do jumping jacks, he's a classic example of that. The kid was like a wimp. Wow. Forgive me, he was a socially oppressed kid. I know for a fact he was bullied in school because his mom told me that, he started to train because of that, to be more confident. So I saw that he's still super tough nowadays, that kid. He's very successful in the investing field. He's like a millionaire right now, which is great. Very good to see like a kid like that and like making it in the, you know.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And he's the classical example.
Okay,
He's
so-
not natural aggressive at all. The opposite.
Interesting.
Okay, that's what I want to get at.
Uh-huh.
The layers. So you think being born genetically with some of the MF coming out in you,
Yes.
correct? Like, okay, I'm aggressive and I could, like you just said, I can make more of the
Yes.
mental tough compared to the kid that isn't at all,
Mm-hmm.
and you make him mentally tough. But do you think that since the two of you guys are aggressive, born like that, I mean, he came out of the womb wanting to be the best,
Yeah.
right? I just know him more than you.
Yeah,
So do you add that on and that person has another, you know what I'm saying? He has another check mark
100%.
over to him. Does that
Uh-huh.
make sense?
100%.
Because he's going to make Cam Miller tough,
Yeah.
but Cam Miller's not born into rough environment tough. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I totally understand.
So how is that? Like, do you think the ultimate champion is born with aggressive and you make it more, or the kid that was getting beat and everything, couldn't ride the bicycle, couldn't do anything, you had to develop his toughness, but it's still not the level of the champion toughness. You see what I'm saying, Wang?
100%. I think that the perfect storm, the perfect formula is to get somebody naturally aggressive and work on that to kind of polish that, and this person to be a very dedicated person. When you get somebody like that, it's the perfect storm. It's the perfect formula. They will make it. You know, yes. Classical example. Romulo Barral, classical example. You know, other people, they have like all the talent in the world. You put expectations on them. But even though you try your best, they do not dedicate themselves enough to get there. So I think that, coach, at the end of the day, I think it's like we can help, but it's 100% more towards them. You have to find self-motivation. You have to work hard, because talent takes you to a certain level. If you have talent and a dedication, champion, perfect storm. If you have talent, but you don't train hard, you're not going to make it. If you don't have any attribute, but you dedicate extra hard, you may do it.
I like
That's possible. I mean, I witnessed that. Like, it was just one example, you know? But, man, like, I witnessed this a bunch of times. I witnessed the hardworking guy surpassing the super talented one many times.
Yeah.
Many times.
Does that, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, Talent's Not Enough by John C. Maxwell. There's a book out there that talks about all the talented kids. But you have the combination, you have the
If you have the combination,
right.
that's the perfect.
But
you know?
you would take the hardworking over the talented.
100%.
Yeah, I agree with that.
100%. 100%. Talent, I'm not going to lie, it's great.
It's nice.
Yeah, everybody wants it.
I don't have any.
I mean, everybody wants to have that. But the truth is that this is not. You can never say somebody like, you know what, champ, you're never going to be a champion because you don't have it on you, the natural aggressive, or you're too stiff. You're not coordinated enough. Forget it.
But the natural aggression is what he always goes back to. Do you notice that?
Yeah,
like, that's
it is
it's a key factor.
It is.
Let me ask you a friend question, a family question. When did you get Sam? When did he walk? Did he walk into your place?
Yeah, I knew him already.
You knew him already.
It was him and his brother, his little brother. Yeah. Both joined. I think your brother a little bit after, right?
Did he remind you of yourself?
You look at his eyes.
Like a younger version?
Yeah. I mean, he was a little...
did you gravitate
He was a little more emotional than me. I'm emotional, still is, but he was a little more than me. But you look at his eyes. He has the eye of a tiger. Like I said, like a tiger recognized tiger. Right?
Yeah, true.
Recognize tiger. You walk like me, like in seminars. Today, for example, I roll my eyes in everybody. Tiger, cat, cow. Not in a pejorative way, personality wise.
So you can see that.
Oh, yeah. 100%. feel energy really well. Man, like I've been doing combat sports for too long.
Mm.
And then in an environment like that, I feel the vibe, I feel the energy 100%.
Yeah, it's amazing because
I can feel it. It's like an animal.
Mm.
Like animals smell fear, right? Animals smell defiance. They smell trouble. It's almost kind of the same thing.
So to be the champions, though, you have to come mentally tough with aggressive, right?
Some people, there's a lot of kind of different toughness, right?
Yeah.
Coach. And there's a lot of people. For example, I think that's a good example to use. Like somebody, for example, that is a total different spectrum than Sam. Sam is a champion, but naturally aggressive and pushes, and you can see his eyes. Probably the biggest competitor in the history of the sport is Roger Gracie.
Mm-hmm.
And I know since he was a kid. I was actually an assistant coach with Hansel when he was a little kid training with
No
us.
kidding. That's awesome.
He was always the quietest. He wasn't super talented.
Really? Was not super
No,
talented.
no, not at all. But he was always the hardest working. He didn't brag. He wasn't aggressive, but you look at his eyes, you still can look at picture, look at his eyes, you see like a big tiger.
Mm.
So he's not one of those guys that shows emotions a lot, but he's tough as nails, man. That guy never quits. You have to kill him. But it's not too transparent with his actions. He's calm and methodic. It's kind of more like a Stone Cold Killer kind of thing.
Mm.
It's like, doesn't lose his cool much. But I mean, when you go with him, you know you have to kill him. If you don't kill him, he's not going to stop. You know what I mean?
You saw that at...
So that's a kind of aggressiveness too, but it's controlled.
Yeah.
You know, it's not transparent. You know what I mean?
You noticed that when he was a kid.
Since he was a little kid. Man, like, I had when I was an assistant coach, I had like him, Horace Gracie Jr., Igor Gracie.
Oh my gosh.
We had a Gregor Gracie. Gregor was a little bitty kid. Gregor, all of them. You know, probably Roger was the one that was kind of like the least talented of them.
Wow.
I can see this easily, you know. But no matter what, he was always there. And always calm, always serene. Since he was a little kid, he was never like a loud kid or like no, he was always like very calm and peaceful. He did his thing. And man, like that guy's one of the toughest guys mentally that I know. He's just tough. He was like, I remember one time after a very exhausting training session, I was training for the Worlds. I think he was a purple belt or a brown belt. And everybody was super tired, like dead tired. And I remember that. Like, we were really exhausted. It was a really tough training session in Rio, no AC, like low ceiling. It was probably like 104 degrees, 105 degrees in that place. Everybody on their geese. We were exhausted. And Roger was lying down. And then a guy came. And this guy was a guy from another gym that was like really tough. He showed up in the wrong time with his gi, and he got there in the wrong time. He didn't get in the right time. And he said, oh man, you guys trained already? Trained. Oh, okay, fine. You do whatever. I'm sorry, whatever. And then Roger, tired, looks at him. And he looks at our master Carlinhos and said, like, tell him to come. I'll train him, no problem. And then he trained. It was tough for him, but he did the training. And after the training, some people asked, I said, Roger, man, like, why you went against him? You that tired. You trained before. The guy came fresh, and you gave him the chance of going, hard with you. He goes like, I went because I didn't know when I would have the next opportunity to train somebody that tough, so I wouldn't pass the opportunity.
Wow. How many world champions did Roger have?
Man, I think 10.
Yeah, he's
10,
10, yeah.
10, yeah, absolute, like 2 absolutes or 3.
Considered one of the all-time best competitors ever.
I think, like, number-wise is not, Buchecha is, but they went against each other with Roger already older in age, and you saw it happen, right? You really saw it happen.
Yeah. We got a bath. Charlie got a bathroom break.
Okay, let's do it about. I need to too.
Okay, all right. So, well,
I'm kind of needing, but I'm fine. So let's keep maybe talking and then we'll
okay,
go each
we'll
time.
go. You need to go too.
Yeah, I'll be after him.
After him.
Well, I mean, so your time here in America, how have you seen America? You left Brazil, you came over here, a lot of cultural differences.
Yeah.
To create champions here in America, has it been tougher?
I wouldn't say tougher. I think that, man, Americans are really hard workers. Like maybe more so than in Brazil, in a sense of discipline
Commitment,
to
right?
work, commitment. Yeah, like when maybe on this level, you know, Americans are great, and it's a warrior country too. I mean, like look at this history of you guys. It was a bunch of wars and people. You know, that's a country that's a warrior culture, and I like that a lot. I think the difference is that here in America, people are more educated and polite. So it makes the environment like a little more respectful.
More professional too.
Professional, exactly. It's professional. There's like a lot of structure. Brazil's a little more chaotic. It's a good chaos that works out at the end, but it's different, right?
I think Brazil is like here in America is more a scientific approach.
Yeah.
And methodical. Where in Brazil you see like a more like if you divide the brain in more logical aspect of approach, in Brazil it's more like artistic way of approaching.
Yeah.
You know, which is more like emotions and
it's more
and
emotion.
creativities.
Yeah. It happens. You know, things in Brazil happens.
He was talking about the difference between Brazil and America. America more professional, more structured.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit more chaotic, more artistic in Brazil.
Yeah.
With that fusion of culture, do you think you're bringing the jiu-jitsu surfing culture into Houston in an American environment, very American, Texas, right?
Yeah.
Are you seeing different things come out of that with that fusion of
100%.
American culture, that kind of infusion, that things are changing in jiu-jitsu as a result of that kind of embedded world of Brazil in America?
100%. I think it was the perfect blend. We needed to be more professional. We needed to stop that crap of being late. Brazilians are like one of the people who are late for everything. And now that is unacceptable for me. Before, I used to be one of those, you know? And then, for example, us coming here with everything is structured. When your class starts at 11, 99% of the students are already lined up on their uniforms with their student's card in hand. Man, in Brazil, if the class starts at 11, people are coming scattered, and the class will start at 11:40. And it's normal. And it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
Now I learned that it shouldn't be like that. That is wrong. You know, you have to be respectful of people's times, you know? So this, for example, for me was a big lesson because nowadays I got way better overall with that. But at the same time, our more relaxed and a natural energy puts the whole environment a little more relaxed and fun. But without compromising the core. The core cannot be compromised. The core is the core. The structure is the structure. So I think it was the perfect blend. That's why it's exploding here, man. You know, they say, I don't know, okay? But they say that jiu-jitsu nowadays is already the combat sport that has more people training, more than karate, more than judo. Believe it that
in America,
in the world,
I believe.
You know,
that.
in America, I know for a
Yeah.
fact. In America, there's a lot of kids in karate. There's a lot of kids in taekwondo and all that. But man, jiu-jitsu has tons of kids and tons of adults. You don't see a lot of adults in karate anymore, in taekwondo. So it's like too many people. You know, boom, took over. You know
so thinking about that surf kid in Rio, 13 years old. And thinking about some of these sports franchises now, UFC, one championship. So if one championship may turn out to be in the future the biggest sports franchise in the world.
I believe.
It's on pace to do that, to accelerate past soccer. It's on pace to do that.
I know.
And UFC one championship would never have been here without your friends and you on that beach in Rio, right? They would have never have happened.
Yep.
Sure.
It would have never have happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's billions and billions of dollars. That's millions upon millions of viewers. How does that make you feel? Does that blow your mind when you think about something like that?
Man, like I'm very busy and in the moment guy that sometimes like I don't have enough time to think about big picture and about what we accomplished. But I think what we did is that we created not just like the spread of amazing martial art, of the spreading of amazing lifestyle. We spreaded a cultural movement. We got what we had in there, adapted, polished a little bit, but man, this is all over the world.
Yeah.
All over the damn world, all continents. They dress like you used to dress because they see the professors in a certain way. People follow.
Mm.
People even talk the way we talk sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so it was like a cultural movement that spread all over the world. I got goosebumps when I say that. Because man, like I was on the time, on the early 80s, that man, like a full class would be like what? 10 people, 9 people.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's it.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
That was a full class. A lot of times you go, there's you and 2 more.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh yeah, but a bunch of times, you know, and then, man, like see now, man, like people making a living of this, like an industry around it, you know, like events, podcasts, clothing, like tournaments,
millions of dollars.
Man, it's like a billionaire industry right now.
Yeah.
You know, like now we're talking about like big corporations wanting to sponsor, yes, but then people are trying to like buy out federations, buy out events.
Really?
You see, like they bought the UFC
Wow.
other day, like a group like bought the Zuffa. The UFC used to be from Zuffa, like a company with 3 partners, like a big, huge, like conglomerate of companies bought the UFC. That's 4.1 billion, right, or something.
Something like
something
that.
like that.
$4.1 billion.
Industry. Yeah,
So
that's crazy.
Who could ever imagine that?
and Gracie
You
Baja,
know what I mean?
tell us about real quick Gracie Baja, and is it the largest?
It is the largest. We're close to 1,000 schools, official schools.
You were a founding member, or are you founding?
I
or
would
was
say
that-
so. Yeah, I was like founding guys. I would say no, because I mean I think the founding guys besides Master Carlos Jr. It was his brothers. Crawling Gracie, Helium Gracie, and then like Renzo, Mestre Nelson Monteiro, Jean-Jacques Machado, Higa Machado, Carlos Machado. All those guys were like the very first ones. We came a little after.
Jean-Jacques was Joe Rogan's guy.
Yeah, that's Joe Rogan's jiu-jitsu coach.
Yeah.
He was my coach until the purple belt. He was the
really?
one. Yeah, he was the one that taught me all classes, gave me my belts until the purple belt when he moved to the U.S. You know.
So when you think about the growth of 1,000 schools, that must blow your mind too.
It blows my mind, and man, like it's something that like it's kind of like a juggernaut, you know, because like that's the numbers, and more people wanted to do it, and more people like investors, they call them and like wanted to invest. Like, okay, like I live in, I don't know, Singapore, for example, or I live in China, and I wanted to be the financer, the investor in 10 schools. So like it's attracting business people.
Wow.
Not necessarily people who love jiu-jitsu. People who see the potential. And this is like mind-blowing for me because man, it was never our goal. I mean, I never started jiu-jitsu and loved jiu-jitsu knowing that one day it would be like $1 billion culture.
Yeah.
Or $1 billion market. I never thought about that. I would never imagine that. Come on, you know what I mean?
Nobody does that's successful.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
that when
you
I was
know.
in Brazil there with Draculino, we did it all for passion, and we were just like want to
Everybody.
be a world champion. I mean, I remember my mom telling me, man, you have to have a backup plan. So I finished college, and remember Draculino.
Same with me.
I was like a little between like careers, and I invited Draculino at the time. Hey, Draculino, you want to come to my exhibitions? Like, what is it, jiu-jitsu? He's like, no, I'm doing jewelry now. He's like, oh, okay. Because I mean, Because at the time, Draculino, we never thought. I mean,
Yeah, we never thought. I mean, it was a very risky thing that I did to let go the lawyer path, the attorney path, and go to jiu-jitsu full time, especially 1995. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But I was following my passion. I was like, man, you know what? Like, I'll try. I'll give it a try. I think I'm gonna. If I try and I fail, I wouldn't feel as bad as live my life thinking, man, you know, I could have done the jiu-jitsu path. It could be awesome. And then I was
funny
like,
because I
you
felt the
know,
same way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I thought like, you know what? Screw it, man. I'm just gonna dive in and see what happens. If I drown, I drown. But at least I'll drown happy I tried. Instead of like not going in the water because of fear. You know what I mean? So thank God I jumped in the water. I'm still swimming.
What does the future hold for you?
Man, like now I'm in the business of, I'm not like too much focused anymore on making champions. I still do, like I still have really good results, thank God, in competition scene. I still coach people on highest level, UFC, you know. But my biggest goal nowadays is to make people's lives better. Because I know that jiu-jitsu can make your life better. 100%. Anyone. Doesn't matter who you are. You know, like maybe if you're never going to compete in your life or you never have aspirations to be any champion, anything. But I know for a fact that it will bring you something good for your life. Either it's confidence, either it's a better physical shape, maybe like new friends, self-defense. You know, like there's always something good out of jiu-jitsu, man. And I think that if I can be part of changing people's lives for the better, that's what I want. You know, and I thank God I see that. I feel that every single day. I see, man, like the kids that come and they barely even talk because they're shy, because they're insecure, because they're sometimes socially oppressed, sometimes are traumatized. Man, like, kids go and I get like sometimes months without listening to their voices, but they kept coming, they kept training. All of a sudden that same kid starts to speak up for himself. That same kid gets a girlfriend. That same kid wins a tournament. And that kid talks to anybody, he's not scared anymore. He's not oppressed by anybody. He can be in a business meeting and talk in equal terms with anybody. That's what turns me on now. You know what I mean? To get like somebody that maybe, who knows, maybe commit suicide, who knows? You know, maybe so oppressed and so traumatized and so like, you know?
Yeah.
And you see that transformation. Man, this is the best thing in the world. You know, like, and I witnessed that like how many times? You know, like that the kid, again, I used a lot this example, Chico. He's actually Felipe Pena's older brother.
Oh.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's Felipe Pena's older brother for father's side, mother's side.
Wow.
Yeah. You know? And in a way, Felipe Pena is also this. His nickname is Preguiça, means lazy. I gave him this because he was... Yeah,
show him the love.
You know, he is famous as a brand because of a nickname that I gave. And you know why I gave this nickname? Because he was one of the ones, the guys that had to be teased, had to be pushed. He wasn't like him. He was like with a lot of potential, but lazy. Tried to skip cut the corner, get late on the warm up with those like you know, like he was tired on his face or maybe pretending, who knows. And then I gave him the nickname Preguiça, and I was like one of the biggest champions in the world. Yeah. He's the actual, absolute world champion in jiu-jitsu world. That's the guy. Yeah. You know, so I mean, like maybe if I didn't push him a little hard back in the day, and I'll show some pictures of him. You're gonna laugh. Like that picture of him chubby, like this, like next to my son. My son was like younger, but you know the little group that we had there. Man, even if we didn't push him enough, who knows? Maybe he could be a loser nowadays. Yeah. Right? I mean, you don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. Only God knows. But I mean, I know for a fact that we helped him in his life. You know?
I love it. Hey, I was thinking of something yesterday. I had a client here. I was thinking about Sam. I had this kid in here that he was doing his eval testing,
Uh-huh.
and, jumps and runs, and he was one of those kids, and you guys have seen it, where he thinks he answers a question by himself because he's got it all figured out. We get it. You're 16 years old, a sophomore in high school, and you try to play professional football. Don't worry about me. Don't listen to me, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So he does all his 40-yard work and his jump work, and I'm like, he's like, okay, what's the first thing you see? I'm like, well, I got one more thing I got to do for you. I got to measure your body fat and your weight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Wang, do I even have to open this one up? So his parents, I was thinking of you, bro. His parents were sitting there, and I'm doing the body fat analysis thing. And it comes up 33%. And I go, do you still want to know the first thing you need to work on? And he goes, it reminded me of him. He said, it's so cute. He said, chubby. I said, you're fat. Tough love, right? I was like,
love.
You asked.
Tough love.
Yours is on. What are your three things? Honest,
Honesty,
love.
passion, and love. Yeah, I mean, that's why you
33%. Really? I mean, you're obese.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
So let's work on that first before we start dialing in your 40s.
If it turns to be a great athlete and their parents take it as a needed thing, that's awesome. But a lot of times what happens, they leave.
That's what we talked about.
Because they live in a fantasy land.
Right. So how do people click and take that? Some people click and take that and go, you know what? I'm here at Petrone's.
Yep.
He's telling me some honest things. That's why I'm paying him.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this and run with it. Or I'm out of Petrone. Screw him. I want to go something where it feels better and they're telling me nice
And sometimes
because they're like, I'll go to a
nowadays
yes
can't
man
take
place.
it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right?
I mean, nowadays, like, you have to. So, I mean, Draculino knows this. Is the different times we live in right now. Sometimes you already know this because you're both great coaches. And be honest, nowadays you have to be so careful about.
Yeah, you have to be careful.
Yeah.
I mean, the world
like,
is different.
It's
now.
so different. I mean, I'm myself.
100%.
Like today, I have to policy myself. Every time I'm gonna speak to someone, I have to think twice. Before, when I got here. And
Well, here you could say
United States.
it's okay.
When I come to United States and
because you know where it's coming from. You know it's coming from love and
Draculino,
honesty.
heart, from the
good heart.
Yeah.
Draculino knows. I mean, I got here in the United States with a different mindset as well because I mean, Draculino's still. I was still with Draculino's. He was still supervising my training. And Draculino looked at me, and it was the funniest thing because I mean, Draculino even told me this later on. You're a dog fighter. You're a dog that likes to fight.
Yeah.
And I raised to be like that, but you cannot do this here.
Yeah.
Even when I was in Texas, he's like, you cannot do this. No.
Don't put people to sleep. First day I opened my school, he put a guy to sleep. First day. And guess who the guy was? He was like the chief of the police department of Houston.
Way to go, Sam.
I didn't know.
It wasn't his fault.
Nobody knows.
I mean, that wasn't his fault because the guy didn't tap either.
Right.
I mean, if you don't tap on a choke, it's on you.
I don't see Sam tapping.
Listen,
But what he did, I knew the guy was. Somehow didn't know.
I don't know. Like, well, so what happened is when this grand opening, he put like, I'm not joking. How many people in the grand opening?
Me and you, like a bunch of people.
I mean, it was like over 50 people.
Yeah.
I mean, and Draculino said to me, look at me, and he's like, you have to roll with everybody.
Yeah.
And I look around. Draculino.
I was rolling too. Like,
we were both rolling.
Yeah, we're both rolling.
I mean, we were the smallest guys in the room. We were the smallest guy in the room. And this guy, I'm not joking, is probably 6'5" and something.
Big guy.
He was a big guy. And he came to me, I'm not joking, I thought I was fighting for my life.
Yeah.
Because you're already tired. It was a long day.
Yeah.
Because, when you open Draculino's gym, you were working all night to get everything prepared.
Oh, yeah.
Tell them, Draculino. We were putting all the furniture together.
We didn't have 1 minute of sleep.
You didn't have a sleep, and then the next day you have. You're expecting. I'm not joking. Probably 40 people.
Yeah.
And it was like
a lot of people, man.
it was like
just on the mats were 50 people.
Oh, gosh.
And then this guy Draculino said, "Guys, line up. You're gonna roll with y'all." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
Kind of like Gracie Way, man. You're gonna show them.
You have to sell the product. And it was such amazing experience because it was a lot of people. You have the thing is like it was a lot of black belts there too.
There was some black belts, yes.
So we had to roll with those guys. And Draculino said,
"We're knowledgeable.
Everybody had the knowledge." And Draculino's like, "Man, you tap, you go." So it's like you have to tap everybody basically.
Yeah.
in line.
When
So I
people
was
get
like,
tapped, they go back to the line.
to the line. If you don't, I mean, you talk about 50 people. If you don't, what happens is
Oh yeah.
you stuck with that guy, and then the next guy is just fresh coming at you like a Shark Tank.
Yeah.
And not only that, it was the funniest thing because after the roll with everybody, his wife Monica, which is a phenomenal helper, like at the gym, was like one of the souls of the gym there.
Yeah.
She came to me and is like, "Here's your clipboard. Let's start selling the memberships." So it was amazing experience to me because after rolling everybody, right, Master Draculino here, and she gave me the clipboard. Don't waste time. Go sign up, people.
Gotta hustle.
We signed up like how many people that day?
37 people, like the first
day. The first day.
We didn't even have the permit to open. We did the grand open on a Saturday because the guys don't come, you know. and then the permit came like on a Wednesday after. So our grand opening wasn't supposed to be happening. You know.
Well, guys, this has been an absolute pleasure. Charlie, any last words, man?
No, this is awesome. As usual, Wang delivers. I just like the diversity of this table. America! Yeah, we got all types of things here. So, hey, Professor, thank you so much for coming on, man. It was a warm soul. And Sam, come on, Sam, stop being edgy.
Man, that's one thing that I have to say. Like, I don't even realize I'm edgy, honestly.
but
He's supposed to be.
You know what I'm saying? Because like,
it takes a lot of self-knowledge.
Years, as you said.
Oh, yeah.
But Wang, you're spot on with these guys. Awesome souls. And that's why it's so much, you could feel the real love, the honesty, the passion. Those are three things that on top of so many other things that this gentleman has brought to the table. But that's really the congruent stuff. And for you, Griff, doing your thing and Ben doing his thing, especially Griff with what he's trying to do, he said it perfect is, we didn't think we'd have 1,000 schools. We just did passion, and that's what it came to. And that's what real success is you just put your head down. All of a sudden, you look up after 20, 30 years and go, what the hell that we just do?
I have in our lineage, Sam knows, over 1,000 black belts in our lineage,
That's
in our
amazing.
direct lineage. I really don't think that a guy from my generation has that many black belts.
How, on average, how long is it?
Under.
Maybe 8 to 10 years per black belt?
6
to
10.
6 to 10 years.
Yeah.
You got 1,000 of
6.
them.
Yeah.
That's mental
That
toughness
means-
itself.
That means I'm good in retention.
Well, thanks, everybody. Happy
Thank you.
Sunday, and have a great day. It's awesome out.
Awesome.
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.